Do you remember that Reese's ad on TV for the Reese's commercials? Well, and that made you feel like a craving for Reese's? Well, that is the idea of perfect marketing strategy plan. Sales marketing is the idea of promoting a good or service for an individual or a company. Uh, Pretty much the importance of this speech is to give you an awareness of how to effectively sell a product. And it's important because everybody is going to sell something in their life, even if they may not know it at the moment. Everybody sells stuff throughout their life. In a business to business situation environment, it's more transaction focused and more about statistics than what your product can offer. According to Entrepreneur, which is an article, uh, in business to business environments, the selling process is often not simple. Many times you will never meet the person who ultimately uses the product. So pretty much this means that it's more transaction focused and you don't get the personal approach. In business to consumer markets, you get a more personalized approach and get a little bit of trust based relationships there. So my credibility speaking to you is I'm a sales marketing major and I was in marketing 542 where I had to pitch a product to a customer and try to get them to make the deal. So what I'm going to talk about is how to effectively sell a product to you by positive selling situations, also how to communicate during sales dialogue. So what I'm going to talk about is positive selling situations and communicating during sales dialogue. Right now, I'm going to begin talking about positive selling situations. One of the most important instances of this is trust based relationship selling, and this focuses on the person rather than the transaction. It is personalized to each and every person and how they perform. According to John Rupp, who has been doing sales for 20 years, it is one thing to talk to the customer, but it's another to communicate and have the customer trust you. You can do this by keeping honesty, openness, fairness, confidentiality, and security and liability between you and your customer, which creates more communication between you and helps build relationship for the long haul. Now we're going to talk about how to be able to get to this point. So there's four stages of a prospecting plan. First is generating sales leads. Is pretty much finding people who might purchase your product. The second is determining sales prospects. Is finding people who have more of a likelihood of purchasing your product and who fit your customer profile. The third is prioritizing these sales and putting the people who are more likely at the top and less likely at the bottom. The fourth and final is sales dialogue, and it's just a written conversation to help generate engagement between you and the customer and pretty much just get everybody involved in the process. While looking at this, another thing we're going to talk about right now is how to address concerns that the customer might have. So there's one thing that's really important in this, and that's checkbacks and response checks. These help find objections that maybe the customer didn't even know that they had, and also helps dig out the objections that they're looking to be answered. According to James Jeffrey, the number one sales rule, which is rather than pitch at the beginning, start with a conversation. And this helps avoid the customer from shutting down. If you start with a conversation, it helps engage the customer through the whole speech. And also, next we're going to talk about how to address resistance from the customers. So one reason they might do this is they want to avoid a interview, and this is because this is pretty much due to the salesperson not properly doing a prospecting plan correctly. They didn't generate the leads correctly and also determine the sales prospects correctly when looking at that. Some objections are the need, which is they do not need the product or service, and also the product or service, which is they do not like the way it feels or like the way it looks. Also, company or service, which is they do not know your company or they do not trust your company. And the most important is price. When looking at price, that's the most common objection that is out there. The price is too high. When looking at this, the way to get around it is LAARC, which is acknowledge, assess, respond, and confirm. So acknowledging the fact that they have a question, assessing it through your mind and processing it, and respond to their thing, and then confirm that you answered their question. Today I have told you how to effectively sell a product and how to use it during a positive selling situation, address concerns, and also address resistance that they might have, and then create a trust-based relationship, and also how to get to that point by creating a prospecting plan. I hope you will use this in your next sales situation.